Hello, everyone. Welcome to Vajram and Ravi's series of podcasts where we are trying to decode and make the preparation easy for you. In today's session, we have someone special. Not just the program head of Step Up Mentorship Program, but someone who understands aspirants to the core. Someone who has been simplifying things for them, simplifying preparation, their timetables, and holding their hand across their journeys, which has given them great results as well. In today's session, we have Ms. Richa Sharma ma'am, who will be telling us more how this preparation can be simplified and what are the things that we can help you with. Welcome to today's podcast, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Shubhangi, and thank you so much for having me here. I'm excited. Let's go.
Yes, very excited to have this conversation, especially in the context 2 weeks back, the way prelims has gone. It has left students, teachers, everybody shocked and confused. And given this kind of change, the addition to unpredictability and everything, what are your thoughts on this? Like, where is UPSC going and where should aspirants keep their eye from here on?
To be honest, taking this question on a lighter note, I believe UPSC has its way of building its or doing its aura farming every year. So every year UPSC has been unpredictable. Right. But to what extent this is justified from the perspective of students is still debatable, because one cannot prepare everything under the sun. This used to be something that we mockingly used to say about the exam, that asks everything under the sun, but it is actually going through these days. So building on that, I believe that UPSC prelims this year was little bit more uncertain as compared to any of the previous years.
Right.
It was not very fair again, but then not to forget that the same percentile of students would be making through the mains again, right? Making through the prelims to give the mains again, right? So we should try to detach ourselves from the prelims result as much as possible is what I believe here.
Okay.
Because one thing is to prepare for the exam, one thing is to prepare all the important themes, which were asked. So if you see, a lot of questions were on, for example, the Sangam age questions were asked, for example, geography questions, river questions. These are the predictable themes which one prepares students for, and they were asked. But at the same time, there were random questions also. There were questions on the military headquarters, very unheard question of sports. Many of the questions are debatable also. So one should not focus on those. What one can do, what a student can do right now is to take it very objectively. How have they performed given the provisional keys are out? And then what should be the next step forward? And let's not bring the emotional noise or give much weightage to the emotional noise. How are you feeling about the exam? Because that phase is already past. Now we have to move forward with our lives and with the preparation. Right? So this is what I feel about this year's prelims.
Ma'am, in the noise and everything that is going on, something that has emerged in recent years and has been rather very successful as a module has been mentorship. And one clear component that catches the eye of the student is the personalization around it, how that can help them. So what are your thoughts when we talk about mentorship, the success it has seen, what has worked, what hasn't, and more to it?
So I have probably mentored more than 2,000 students over the mentorship journey. And so what I can tell you over here is the mentorship word. So it is a so-called buzzword in the market right now, but it is a very misunderstood word. So what you assume of mentorship or a mentor is somebody, if you're feeling low, you come to, or is somebody who can help you with the resources. But to be honest, Shubhangi, even the your book shopkeepers, even those people would be knowing resources today. Everybody knows resources. Even Telegram channels would be of good help when it comes to knowing resources. सबको पता है. तो mentor का ये काम नहीं होता. In fact, mentor works on the field of filtration and prioritization, because how much can you read? Given the unpredictability, what should you prioritize more? Whether it should be the mains aspect or whether it should be the prelims aspect. How can you be more confident? How can you be more emotionally stable? And the mentorship doesn't just end over there. So mentorship is also about, let's say the prelims examination happens. So we ensure that we also give analysis of prelims paper to our students. It's not just about giving the algorithms before the prelims paper, but also after it. So what worked for them, what did not work for them, so that they can take up something and they can build upon the next year's preparation.
Right.
So mentor will not just, I can tell you, mentor mostly focuses on the application part. That is why mentorship is a more successful module nowadays, because it saves your time, it saves your resources, and plus it keeps you around people who are very much relatable, because they have just now given the attempts.
Right.
So it is more relatable as compared to any other module, and that is why we see more success in mentorships.
Okay, so we are establishing here because it saves on the effort, it saves on the resources, and it is more connected to UPSC in indirect ways or closer and in terms of understanding. That's why we get better results for students. But another thing, ma'am, that we have seen in and around mentorship, there is a lot of buzz also, and there is a lot of things that are going wrong. In that, just to clarify, it is the expectation setting. You have told what is to be expected, but when student comes and their understanding of mentorship is seen, it is very different also. So do you think when we are talking about the things that mentor can help and things that mentor cannot help, if you can just put it out clearly for the student?
That's a brilliantly put question, actually, to resolve the dilemma of students.
Yes.
First of all, what mentor can help you with?
Yes.
First of all, to bring structure and balance in your preparation.
Okay.
So that nothing goes in excess, nothing goes in deficit, and you know exactly what are you doing in a day. Second, you are accountable to someone, so you can also expect accountability.
Right.
Right? And I would say accountability is much more important as compared to anything else. Knowledge, or let's say the intelligence part of it, accountability is very, very important, because it's one thing to know everything and it is another thing to execute or to do it. And to do it, you need to be accountable to somebody. So mentor brings that accountability into the picture.
Okay.
Then what mentor does not do? So mentor does not promotes a lot of resources. That is the first thing. Because we are already, so I believe this is a generation where we have a paradox of plenty going on, because there's so much resource out there. One can get more confused as to what to read and how much can they read, because we have a certain bandwidth of memory and we must appreciate it. So we should only consume those things which are high yielding, and then we should revise it on daily basis.
Right.
Even if we know that prelims is unpredictable, mains is unpredictable, but again, if prelims was very uncertain like that of this year, the cutoffs would be naturally lower. So you only needed to know set of like 35-40 questions correctly, which could be figured out with the help of these important themes. So again, you don't need to splurge on a lot of resources. So mentors never support you to splurge on the resource. Second, mentors are not just for academic help. It is also there for the non-academic help as well, because what can save your attempt is not just how much academically intelligent you are, but also how are you managing uncertainty, how are you managing pressure situations, what is your emotional regulation. And for that, I've been telling this previously also, that you are the average of 5 people around you. If the 5 people around you are focused, if they are sane, then you ultimately naturally will become sane, and you do not need to waste a lot of willpower in fighting your thoughts, because there is somebody who's done it and who knows how to get it done even in a better fashion. And so they are going to bridge that gap, so that whenever you give the examination, you give it with a good amount of clarity. Clarity ultimately brings confidence, and confidence will help you to clear the paper or to maximize your score.
Right.
So again, what mentors do not do is, they are not just mechanical academic consultants. They're also not somebody who are just focusing on the emotional needs of somebody. It comes as a convergence, especially when we are talking about professional mentorship, right?
Understood.
Yeah.
Now that you have given us a clear list out there, I think it would be easier for aspirants also to gauge and understand that what should they be expecting and if it is being delivered or not. Because that is another thing that many aspirants are suffering or having the negative effects of, that they don't have the clarity what to expect. Right. Now that we have mentioned prelims also, another thing, you talked about emotional regulation here, that students need to be told about certain things. In this very context, prelims has left many aspirants in a very bad shape.
Yeah.
And probably something from you which can give them a little direction as to what next or how to face this would really help.
Right. So firstly, one should never do post-mortem of their life's decision on the basis of one exam. should
Okay.
never do. Be it for this prelims, for any other examination, because this is a choice you made to take the exam. Okay?
Correct.
Because you felt you were competitive enough and you gave your best, and that itself is worthy of applause, right? But not to belittle the fact that it was a very hurtful side for me also to see my students, to see other people also, because and especially the hardworking people who have been studying throughout, who were they left no stone unturned, and I know them very personally, but they are not making it through the prelims because of one reason or the other, but the main reason was how they were managing the uncertainty or the unpredictability part of exam. Now, I know this is going to hurt. And I know you would be questioning your life decision. You would be heavy on self-doubt right now. But again, coming back to the same point, this is where we need to compartmentalize. First of all, there's a feedback that we've received from this year's examination, right? That there are certain areas which we need to study. So we will be incorporating that into our patterns, into our themes, and we'll be reading them for the next year. That's the first thing. Again, the good themes that we have already given to our students, they have worked. They were always working. The PYQ algorithm videos that I produced just before the prelims exam for step-up students, they also worked wonderfully well. So this also is helping. Now, the second compartmentalization is the emotional noises I was telling. That how are you feeling, how the other people are making you feel about the examination. That should be reduced as much as possible. We should focus on the constructive areas, what we can do, how we can improvise. And this will help you to get over or at least relieve the trauma that has come after this prelims.
Right. Definitely, it has been a difficult time, not just for aspirants, I would say. This is something which has widened the scope at the other end also, for you, for us, all together. But when we are talking about in a time where students are considering, especially the people who would be sitting for another set of exams, they consider self-study now. Once their classes are done, now they are like, okay, we have understood and we want to go through on this on our own. But at the very same time, when you're talking about the emotional noise, when you're talking about the paradox of plenty, don't you think the role of mentorship comes in a little more in this situation? Because this is where, when you know a lot, for a person who is going to give their attempt second time, third time maybe, they know so much and there is so much again that it is difficult to just navigate through it.
Right. So, see, one thing is self-study is the foundation.
Right.
So you have to do self-study any whichever way. Okay, that is a non-negotiable aspect. But where mentor helps you is they accelerate improvement and application. If I can put it into very concise words. How we do it is because our focus would be on your test, would be on your structure, would be on what are you prioritizing in your examination. And then we will try to incorporate feedbacks in very frequent intervals. Right. It's not as if you first have to prepare for the entire main syllabus, sit for some test series, and then you are receiving the feedback. From the very first weekend, so the first day of your mentorship, you will be receiving a very structured plan, a weekly plan. You have to execute on that plan. On the third day, there will be an accountability call from the mentor, so that whether you're on track or not, we are updated on that. And on the seventh day, you have to take the test. You have to sit with your mentor regarding tests evaluation and not just plainly read the solution. And then we will try to improvise. So when we are improvising there, what we are helping you with is not just understanding the academic loopholes that you have, but also how are you performing if you don't know any question. So when that happens week after week, it gets incorporated into one's personality. So the prelims exam or exams like means they don't come as a shocker. Because you've already built that mental, inertia to deal with stressors. And that helps a lot. So again, how mentor helps with clarity is by building personality in a way, by shaping your thought process. And what you're doing in a mentorship, you're basically leveraging somebody's experience, somebody's thought process. You can't leverage somebody's discipline, but you can leverage somebody's thought process, which is very important. What was the thought process of a person who's clearing this year's prelims? That will help you, because the questions that you found difficult, they also found difficult. But then how did they navigate through that questions? How are they scoring more than 90? So that is what we teach directly in mentorship programs.
Ma'am, while you were mentioning the process, another question that just popped in my head from the aspect of aspirant. So when they're in the process, this process is also, I would say, exhausting in a way, where one person receives a feedback after 3 months when it is every other week. Feedback might be positive, in most cases not so much, because there's a lot to learn, there's a lot of scope also, and which is very heavy on them, which sits very heavy on them. How is that aspect to be managed? Because they want mentorship, so the things are, the idea in their head is, okay, it's simplified, we don't have to, the burden has passed on. That is the idea in general. So the moment they see the big timetable, or the general perception is, it's like, this is something too tough. So how is that navigated, or how is that managed?
So, you know, what I feel is, what are we striving as a generation? We are striving for happiness and dopamines. We should be striving to become anti-fragile.
Okay.
There will be a lot of lows and dips in lives now, not just in this area. Wherever you want to improve, you will be receiving negative feedbacks.
Right.
And negative feedback, if taken constructively, will only help you to grow further.
Correct.
For example, if you're in a gym, you're trying to build a muscle, the muscle will first get torn apart. Then only it will build. So if you are trying to just be happy, you will never go to the gym.
True.
Because you want to make yourself feel better all the time. But this is not how growth happens. If you are coming into UPSC journey, which I am very proud that a lot of youth is getting attracted into it. Shubhangi, I can tell you, there are so many students in the Step Up Mentorship Program. They are Indians who are living in foreign lands. Right. One is living in New York, some other is living in Germany, and they are coming now for UPSC examination preparation. Which itself, it makes you very proud that they are getting attracted towards civil services. Right. But see, there's an opportunity cost of everything, right? If you are coming into this preparation, it is rigorous. So you should, the first thing you should do is accept it, that it is going to be rigorous. It will require a lot of hard work. And it will require a lot of consistency. The best you can do for yourself is how to ease it down and how to maybe prepare it with somebody who can share my burden. So mentor would be a good person to do that. But the other things, how to take feedbacks, how to improve, all of that depends upon your mindset, your willpower to crack the paper. And if you have good enough willpower, you will improvise very, very quickly just in 1 year's time. Otherwise, it takes people 5 to 6 years of preparation. And they are not able to catch that knack. Why? Because they are not ready to take the criticism only. The faster you will take the criticism, the better you will grow, the more you will grow. Right? So this is what I believe, perspective shifts, they help a lot in navigating through these difficulties.
This is a very good example of perspective shift. If you're looking at it from this end, it might seem like rigorous or something that will break you down. But if you look from the other end, you will see once the breaking down is done and there's a lot to grow up on.
Yep.
In this very same context, ma'am, students have a very clear thing that this is the syllabus. This is the amount of things I need to prepare. This topics, these themes, current affairs, everything that needs to be done. And as of now, what I feel that lack of knowledge is not the issue.
Yeah.
You also mentioned plenty, or you also mentioned paradox of plenty. So resources are also not an issue. The issue is structurally something deeper. And that needs to be very clearly laid out for the aspirants who are starting or who are repeating in that. So what is the issue that they should try to address?
First thing, whatever they are consuming in the form of content, is it relevant? Is it giving you high ROI or not? That is the first question you should ask. Now see what happens is, if I have downloaded 40 PDFs from 5 different institutes, or let's say some publications, I need to first see all of them to finally see whether they are good on ROI, whether I'm feeling good about this content or not. So this is going to waste a lot of time. This is the biggest mistake that beginners make.
Correct.
So and they remain thirsty in the in the pool of knowledge, because there's so much knowledge, they eventually end up reading nothing. And a lot of people would agree on this. They'll pick up one PDF, उनके 50 टैब्स खुले रहते हैं लैपटॉप में, और वो 2 लैपटॉप से पढ़ रहे होते हैं कि यहाँ से भी इकोनॉमी हो जाएगा, वहां से भी इकोनॉमी हो जाएगा. एंड ऑफ द डे वो कुछ भी याद नहीं रख पाते हैं. तो यहाँ पे मेंटर्स जो हेल्प करते हैं कि वो आपको बेस्ट रिसोर्स ही सजेस्ट करते हैं जो सबसे ज्यादा एप्लीकेशन फ्रेंडली है. फॉर दैट पर्पस वी आर सेल्फ गिव यू नोट्स. It's not that we don't want you to make notes. The agenda of Step Up Mentorship eventually is to ensure your mains notes ready by the month of December. That is something that we have set as a standard for all the students. Whoever achieves on that, they'll be making it through the Prodigy 100 group, which is like a super 100 group, right? So we kind of reward them also. We are not saying that you don't have to make your own notes. You must make your own notes, but then you have to consume good material. You can't be reading everything under the sun because there is a lot of things under the sun. Anything could be asked. So first problem is identification of the right material. That again can be best addressed by somebody who has already experienced those materials, right? Third thing is, how will you ensure that whatever you are reading has high ROI? By making notes out of it. Now we are living in the age of AI, so nobody is finding notes making very relevant these days. But what I feel is, there are some areas which can only be addressed by notes making. First of all, that I was talking about, the emotional regulation thing. It helps to keep you grounded while you are reading. It helps stop overthinking. It helps you bring content which you are finding worthwhile into your page. So you are able to retain it better.
Right.
So there is a huge relevance of notes making which is still there, because see, why again, no pain, no gain. If you are not putting pain into the preparation, if you are not writing it down, if you are not literally, I've seen so many people, they have written so many notes, they have given so many tests, they used to have blisters in their fingers, but then they are happy about it. Because sometimes when you feel these kind of things, when you struggle in the examination, when you do a lot of hard work, it keeps you feel grounded first of all, and it gives you a sense of satisfaction that you did your best.
Correct.
This helps you to give confidence. If let's say I see a question in the prelims exam, like that of Kshetrapatni. Now, if I am not able to address this question, given that I have done so much hard work, then nobody would be able to do it. That confidence will help me to filter out the questions, what I need to address, what I need to skip. This will help me to clear the cutoff. Likewise for mains preparation also. So if you'll see mains preparation, there is a lot of content, lot of templates are also available nowadays. But see, it's like I can give you 5 introductions for one question, but you will be rewarded on the most relevant one, right?
Correct.
So if you address a question on the basis of relevancy, if you address it on the basis of, let's say, I have already told you, write as many points as possible. If it's a 10 marker question, try to go for more than 10 points. But if your points are not prioritized, you should be writing the most important point first, right? So who will teach you that prioritization? Here also mentorship helps. And this is, again, as Rome wasn't built in a day, this also is a reflex that we create in our brain. So it requires a lot of practice. And practice only works once we receive feedback.
Understood.
So that feedback on regular intervention is where mentorship works magically.
Fair. But ma'am, another thing about mentorship, that it is not standardized. It is structured, but it is not standardized. Because every aspirant is different. The needs, the level they are operating, and the goals also. Yes, the end goal is to clear the exam, but how and why of it is very different. How that is addressed, and how does the mentor work on that? And maybe in the next question, I would want to also understand the aspirant side of it, because they also need to know the blind spots. They cannot just trust blindly on one person where the burden will be shared. They also need to be aware about the blind spot. They also need to be aware about the high areas. So how is that also managed? So let's start with the mentor part first, and then maybe we can move to the aspirants part.
So see, Shubhangi, the Step Up Mentorship, I can proudly tell you, is one of the most personalized guidance out there in the UPSC industries. Why am I telling you this? At the very onset of you joining the mentor program, this is where you have to fill your entire detail. It's like we try to pull in the assessment of a mentee at the very onset of the program.
Okay.
And then we give them a suitable mentor who is best suited to the needs of the mentee. For example, if somebody is struggling and they have written that I'm struggling with mains part more, or let's say I'm struggling with economy part more, then I will assign a suitable mentor who is best in mains part or in the economy part.
Correct.
So that is how first we do the matchmaking thing. Okay?
Right.
Second, when we give you the plan, it is totally customized. It is different for a working aspirant. It is different for a full-time aspirant.
Okay.
It is different for anybody who's trying to, take up their foundation classes and mentorship together along with optional classes. It becomes very hectic. So we try to incorporate that also. Now, how do we standardize this is where the planning comes into play. The program is made such that you will be made to prioritize the mains part first,
Okay.
areas of notes making first. There are certain themes that you must make notes on first. So this is how we have standardized the mentorship also to a very good extent.
Okay.
So it is not a haphazard mentorship. It is not like one day I'm coming in talking about economy, the other day I'm talking about polity, the other day I'm just roughly talking about how to manage optional, etc. It is very, very structured. So you know what are you going to experience on weekly basis. And then there will be tests, as I've already told you,
Yes.
right? And then we have integration of current affairs also. That is also standardized. So current affairs are also working in a module where you get mains current affair first, then prelims current affair later. And then we also have essay modules here. Essay enrichment classes are also, because that is also need of that.
Of course.
Once one needs to improve their score in essays. And then once the prelims examination comes, so we know that you are in need of good revision cycle.
Correct.
So to facilitate that, we from our side provide this speed revision classes in Step Up Mentorship.
Okay.
Before mains, as we are launching Step Up Mains Advance also. So I would also like to tell, this is a rigorous 70-day plan. So as to how to navigate the whole mains syllabus along with topper copy analysis, along with PYQ integration, along with speed writing. Because if you are not going to complete the paper, what is the point of you knowing all the information? So these are the loopholes that we have addressed in both prelims area and mains areas. And we are going to address that also in the mentorship program. So it is not just about you sitting with a mentor and talking about your life and how you can improve your preparation in general. It's not about that. It's about we reinforcing the right practices deliberately on frequent intervals.
Understood.
So you can trust us on that.
Very clear idea I've gotten that. My question was standardization, and of course customization comes with that, because and it seems like it is addressed in a very detailed and technical manner, which allows the process towards UPSC CSE to go in a way and ensuring the needs of the aspirants are met. Now to the second part that I made it into a long question, that when we're talking from the aspirant side, this is something you know as a mentor, right? If I'm sitting on this side and I'm a newcomer, I don't know this whole process.
Yeah.
I come with a blank slate, and I don't know any blind spots, if any exist also. For an example, let's just say I have started making my notes, right? Or I have given a certain test, or I am looking at the speed revision classes, anything at all. Things that do not work for me, I don't know that. I will also try to, I'll also come across them in duration of the cycle. But how does a mentor identify that first? Because that identification is very important if something is going wrong. Second, is there any way students or the aspirants can also help the mentor in any better way?
Yeah. So obviously this is a fiduciary relationship.
Yes.
So both help each other. But starting with how mentors help. So the very first session with the student, we call it as a diagnostic session.
Okay.
So we try to pull in all of your previous work, your notes, your answers, whichever you have written, any test that you have written, and we try to look into that to understand what was your battleground before. What were you doing? What have you could be very honest about it. Ki, ma'am, I have done foundation classes 2 years back, did not utilize it, or I have taken mentorship from some. I get these questions. We receive these questions, but then it is then our responsibility to see how we can best utilize that resource also without dumping any new resource onto you.
Correct.
Because that is something that you have put your hard work and time onto, right? So we have to utilize that also. The first level is to understand your weaknesses. We first need to know what you have been doing in the past. That is taken into consideration. Nobody is a blank slate is what I believe. Okay. Even if you are a newcomer, even if you have just started foundation, you must have had some idea about UPSC. You must have read NCRTs. You must have read certain videos. You must be having certain idea about the exam. Okay. So I would like to know that idea from you first. Okay. And then I will build upon it. What are the right practices? What are the wrong orientations that you are having? And we will simply navigate through it, right? Now, if I'll talk about how student helps mentor, student helps a lot in keeping us or making us feel relevant. Because they tell us the best practices that are going on in the market, that are going with themselves. And then we also take up that feedback and we also improvise a program. So Step Up Mentorship is a highly agile, highly flexible module. So we change and we adapt very, very quickly. If we find anything better is working for a student, we'll very quickly put into the practice. This our students must have noticed, and they have. So I feel that this understanding between the mentor and the mentee about the changing patterns of the UPSC, the understanding to navigate it mutually, this helps a lot in building overall a good camaraderie between two people, and also it helps us to maximize your score. Lot of people from Step Up Mentorship this year are scoring more than 90 marks in the prelims paper.
Wow.
And so this has worked well, not because they did something just 1 month ago, but because they were in tune, they were in touch with the changing patterns since 1 year. So again, as I was talking about the reflex muscle, you build that, right?
Understood. Now we have talked in detail about mentorship. Because the main purpose was to break it down. Not for just someone who already knows, but somebody who is thinking about it, an aspirant who needs help, so they have a fair idea what goes in and out. But when we move towards preparation, the whole cycle of it, right? It's a huge marathon that needs to be run across stages. There is no one final stop to it, and that also changes the way of preparation across. The core remains the same, but the students have to adjust and make sure that they are moving in the right direction. So what are the 3 mistakes that you have found across the stages that aspirants usually commit?
So one is highlighted by Charles Darwin only in his theory, that there is this thing of survival of the fittest. Survival of the fittest as in not somebody who has built a lot of muscles, somebody who is very, very adaptable. Very adaptive to the changing environment. जो जितना जल्दी adopt करेगा, उतना कम restrain feel करेगा और उतनी जल्दी evolve होगा, right? The one thing that helps a lot is adaptation. See, I understand that UPSC can go unfair, is uncertain, but then how much can you crib, cry and complain about it? To what extent? We have to very quickly adopt to the changing pattern and get on to with our next thing. It could be analyzing whether we should be appearing in the next year. It could be thinking whether we should take some plan B, which is also fine. Or it could be to leave the exam cycle, which is also fine. Whatever is comfortable to you. So that requires, all of these require self-awareness.
Right.
So second thing is self-awareness. For that you need to have clarity. You need to have, again, emotional regulation. Emotional intelligence is something that we've been reading in ethics, right? But this is not something that we implement in real life. So self-awareness, as I've been telling, self-awareness is the beginning of all the wisdom. So once you know that what should be your next path, what you should be doing next, you will cut down a lot of noise.
Right.
For example, whether to go for mentorship or not, whether to choose a particular mentor or not, whether to finish this task today or not. You should be having clarity on that. And the foundation is on whether you should be giving the examination next year or not. So that again requires intervention of mentor. Mentor can assess your performance better, as I've been telling you now, because after prelims got over, we analyzed a lot of papers. So we have been recommending a lot of people, whether there are other plan Bs available. We are also outsourcing some jobs. We are also helping them to connect with some other industry experts also. So we are doing that along with also helping the serious candidates to again, regain their confidence and get back into the preparation.
Right.
Okay, because these things are required, because if you don't have good willpower, exam becomes very difficult. Third thing that you need to have is intelligence. And goes without saying, intelligence is not something that we inherit. Intelligence is how we react to uncertainties and to pressure conditions. So if you have that, that also helps a lot in cracking the paper. And then we need to have structure. Structure not just in answers, in our approach, in our process, but also in our thought process. So these things, eventually an amalgamation of all of them will help you very easily navigate through the paper.
Across the journey.
Across the journey.
This is where, because we talked about prelims and now that prelims is gone, this is something that would actually help students to talk about mains.
Yeah.
And just clearing prelims and writing mains is not enough. It is not. it is something that needs to be done with more dedication, lot of effort, lot of direction, because that is what places you in the last league where you have to perform and then you go to the list. And when we're talking about mains scoring around 450 plus in GS and essays expected, a basic expectation, right? But when students are looking at the approach towards mains, the first thing they think about only is answer writing. That the moment they are done with prelims, answer writing. First of all, is this the right approach, or what are the things that they should take in consideration?
Answer writing is only a very small part of preparation. If you are writing answers but not receiving feedback, you are not improving.
Right.
It's as simple as that. Because, and especially, what kind of feedback am I talking about? One feedback you can receive from reading the model answer, but that is a very passive feedback. It is not personalized. The second feedback is receiving it from somebody who has done good amount of answer writing, who has scored pretty well in the examination. So they know what is working in the UPSC questions, what is working in the papers, what kind of answer is giving you more marks, and how to develop those answers in a speedy fashion. These are the areas which we particularly address. Now, how do you know that whether your answer writing approach is good enough or not? If you are writing the answers but receiving the same marks again and again, which typically happens with a lot of students, because content itself is not a problem. Content you can build upon, right? If you are going to write answer without reading anything, of course you'll be naturally scoring low. But let's say you have the content, still you will get a lot of questions which are interdisciplinary in nature. Because nowadays you're asking questions which have historical aspects, geographical aspect, economic aspects, all embedded in one question. Nobody can prepare these kind of questions beforehand. So you have to operate in real time, right? So this again requires skill building. So that skill building just cannot plainly happen through answer writing.
Right.
First of all, you need to have structured notes. Notes are any day much more important than answers. I have spoken to a lot of toppers also, and most of them have told me that the test series helped them, but the main thing was PYQ analysis and how they were writing the PYQs and how they got the feedback and improvised on that. Because see, we already have a very short window now between prelims and mains. So you can't waste all the time in writing answers. That itself is a very meticulous activity. So what you can do instead is you can focus, you can target some good amount of FLTs or some PYQs, and then you can get them evaluated very frequently. Or it's even better that you get it. So it's like, Shubhangi, suppose I am an anchor, right? And I'm trying to practice my anchoring skills in an isolated room in front of a mirror. Sure, I can improve, but it will take a little bit of time. But let's say I'm doing it in front of audience. I will receive feedback instantly and I will receive diverse feedback. So what it will help me into? It will help me to improvise very, very quickly.
Correct.
So the improvisation accelerates and we don't have a lot of time to give mains examination. So that is why to prepare for it, to improve very, very quickly, this is where answer writing with proper feedback, these two things are going to help you. Only answer writing is not going to help. If you're not having notes, if you're not having structured notes, that again is not going to help you. You should be having structured notes.
Understood.
Right.
Now you mentioned two important things, structured notes and how answer writing needs to be done. I briefly mentioned that 450 plus is something expected that is set on the ground. But when we are trying to differentiate people who are scoring that and people who are like probably somewhere around 300, 350, what is the difference that exists and how that difference can be bridged?
The first thing is relevance of the content that I have highlighted before also.
Yes.
Because it actually holds a lot of importance in the exam. Second, how much you can brainstorm in a particular question in a given amount of time. This is something that also makes a difference. Second, and the most important one, whether you're addressing the demand of the question or not. See, there is one thing to write what you know. The second thing is to very intelligently structure it around the demand of the question. Everybody reads the same content more or less. But you have to write the content which is highly relevant first of all. Let's say you can write an introduction defining some activity. Some question of geographical phenomena comes. You can either write about the definition or you can maybe write about the recently some thing has erupted and that is why it was in news. You're contextualizing it. So who will be getting more marks? The second one, right? Who is contextualizing more? Who is bringing more relevance? Who is prioritizing the right points? And then somebody who is able to give good presentation also to the examiner, because presentation matters a lot. And I'm not talking about the handwriting part.
Right.
It's about how you are structuring, how you're putting things into boxes, how you're making the good things more visibly appealing, right? So these are the things which helps. It's not obviously the knowledge part, because a 350 scorer, a 450 scorer mostly holds the same knowledge data bank only.
Right.
The only difference is an application and how quickly you can apply.
Right. Previously, we were talking about mentorship in the broad context of the preparation, or we centered it towards prelims a little also. But what about mains? Mains, extremely time limited, effort oriented, and direction oriented, as I said. How does mentorship lay out for this?
So I can give you a picture of how our mentorship works, right? Now, when we start mentorship of any student, from the very first week onwards, we start integrating the answer writing practices.
Right.
So there are open book modules where you have to write 5 questions every day, but on an open book basis.
Right.
On the weekend, you have to take the test. Then there's a thorough discussion. Then the first phase of our mentorship is a foundation base. So in this foundation base wala area, what we do is we just simply try to make you understand how to do the answer writing. Then we will start building advanced strategies. So we will give you templates as to how to, as I was talking about speed writing.
Right.
So how will you write? How will one keyword trigger 5 points in your brain? Because you have certain templates already made. So mains is no more that subjective. It has become a very competitive space. So you need to produce as many number of points as possible. So for that, we provide you templates, right? Now, as one enters into the prelims phase, we dilute the mains part. And then when we enter into this phase, where we are standing right now, where we have to rigorously prepare for mains, we focus on the 4 pillars. First is the notes making, the structured notes, quick notes, short notes, which we call as the 1-pager notes. Creation of those notes. Second thing, revising everything very quickly. Third thing, learning from the best practices, which of course are from the topper's copy. And fourth, speed writing. So we start building everything into this phase. And so this phase is known as step up mains advanced phase. And the admissions, for the first time we're putting this out, that the admissions are also open for the external students. Previously, it was only for the step up in-house students. Now it is also for external students. So the batch is also starting from next week onwards. So this is how we will, in 70 days, ensure that your marks gets boosted by a good margin without a lot of effort wastage.
Right.
Because otherwise you would be reading everything under the sun again. You would be reading a lot of material, especially in mains. A lot of PDF dumping happens.
It does.
So then how to utilize those things, how to minimize the noise, how to minimize the random info thing. So this is also something that we focus on.
Now that we have spoken at length about how mentorship can help and how everything needs to be tackled, especially across the preparation, let us move towards a quick rapid fire round.
Let's go.
Okay. So one activity that helps students a lot.
Journaling, notes making, notes taking helps a lot.
One habit every UPSC aspirant should eliminate.
Being underconfident, any activity or any kind of thing which is building underconfidence in you, it is a killer in preparation.
Okay. Current affairs or static, which hurts the student to prepare more.
Current affair hurts more.
One particular mistake that costs students a lot of marks in prelims.
Their inability to choose the right questions.
Okay. One habit that hurts them in mains.
Them not having any notes before mains.
One thing mentors can do that students often underestimate.
Emotional regulation. It helps in a very sublime fashion, but it is there and it helps a lot.
What is harder to fix, knowledge gap or mindset gap?
Mindset gap.
One thing students should stop doing, especially after the 2026 prelims.
They should stop doubting themselves actually.
What should be the more focus on, notes or PYQs?
PYQs.
Why?
Because PYQs are the frameworks. PYQs have the most amount of repetition. These are the only areas which help us to navigate the big ocean of knowledge.
Understood. Newspaper or monthly magazine?
I would be a little biased. I'd be telling what has helped me the most. It was monthly magazine.
Okay. Optional first or GS first for meals?
GS first.
Okay. Consistency or intelligence?
Consistency.
Prelim stuffer or main stuffer?
Prelims and stuff.
Okay. So that was all. But thank you so much for coming here today and helping us navigate this vast ocean of knowledge and also a lot of noise that exists. It has definitely given us a fair amount of clarity. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shubhangi, for having me here. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I'm always happy to help. So, if anybody wants to reach out to the mentorship space of Vajiram, you are most cordially invited into our offline center, or you can also reach out to our online mentors via the feedback form that we'll be floating.
Okay. Thank you so much.